This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. To the Research Talks podcast here on Stockbox with Alan Green after a couple of weeks break, as both of us, Alan, have been on holiday, haven't we? Me in Spain and you doing a motorbike tour. It's difficult to get holidays in this line of work, but we managed to have a bit of a break, didn't we? So it's glad to be back and talking. How are you doing?
It was great, thanks. Yeah, indeed, Mark. It was nice to get away, and I think, as we were saying earlier, it's you never really switch off. You can't because the markets never sleep, to coin a phrase, and of course work continues. But yeah, it was great to get away with some old mates on motorbikes the crew I toured with, and we toured around Scotland. Got suitably wet, as you can imagine up there, as Scotland does tend to throw the best or the worst of its weather at you. But great time, great food, one or two beers, as you can imagine, and much banter.
Indeed, good, excellent. Well, that's good to hear. I also had a nice time in Spain, so got a bit of rest. But back to it now. So today we're going to cover a special. It's just a one focus today, which is GMET, which is Gold and Metal Resources. I think they are worthy of a bit of a recap, really, or a roundup of what's been going on, because since they IPO'd a month ago and they've had, I think, 10 or so RNSs, and particularly the last one or two very significant with finding an offtake partner, I think, wasn't it, for Pilot Mountain. They're really hitting the ground running. So keen to get your kind of take on it, Alan, and your roundup of GMET.
Okay, well, GMET, I think probably quicker than any other company post-IPO, has really got a life of its own. It really is motoring in terms of its share price and also in terms of its key developments as a listed entity. So just to summarize, Gold and Metal Epic, of course, is GMET. Since the IPO, the shares have traded as high as 9p and as low as 6.2p. Of course, came to market, raised some money. It's currently trading 8.5p. And of course, it was spun out of Power Metal Resources. And post the IPO, Power Metal still holds a substantial shareholding, has just over 52 million shares, which equates to 62% or 62.06%, and it's locked in with that shareholding until May 2024. And I think, on the evidence of what we're seeing in terms of the development at the various projects so far, that's going to be a very valuable and solid investment. So the company is focused on Nevada in the USA, which is a mining-friendly jurisdiction. And the industry there is very much built around a unique geological backdrop with an abundance of high-grade underground mines and large open-pit Carlin type deposits. Now, Carlin for the geologists out there, of course, is where invisible microscopic gold particles are hosted in pyrite within sedimentary rocks, and this is a feature of the Nevada, and in particular the Walker Lane Gold Belt, on which the company's key projects, or 3 out of 4 of the key projects are based. So the company, in its mission statement, has said that it's focused on strategic metal discoveries within the region, and also it is pushing to be a leader in ESG. That's, of course, environmental, social, and governance And on the board of the company, we have Oliver Friesen, the chief executive. I interviewed Oliver last year, and he was very enthused by the potential at or across the company's projects. David Avadi, of course, the non-exec chairman. I've spoken to David as well, and of course, backed up by non-executive directors Scott Richardson Brown, Mark Burnett, and Mick Billing. Of course, Mick is known for his stewardship and leadership at other companies, including Thor Mining. So across these 4 projects, they're all closely grouped together within Nevada. The Pilot Mountain project is the company's flagship project, and this is based. So either side, you have to the northwest of Pilot Mountain, you have the Garfield project. To the southeast, you have the Stonewall project, and then further to the north of Pilot Mountain, you have the Golconda project. So it's a package of 4 projects. Pilot Mountain is 100% owned by Gold Metal Resources, and this is a Skarn style tungsten project with copper, gold, and zinc credits, copper, silver, and zinc credits, and is recognized as the largest undeveloped tungsten resource in the USA. So we then have the Golconda Summit project, and Golconda isn't currently 100% owned. There's an option to earn in and own the project 100%. And this again is a Carlin style silver and gold property. And this is at the confluence of the Getchell and Battle Mountain and Eureka trends. So, and this is something when I spoke to Oliver and interviewed him, he was very enthused about. We then have the 100% owned Garfield project, which is a copper and gold project within the Walker Lane Gold Belt. And finally, the Stonewall project, again, within the Walker Lane Gold Belt. But it's the Pilot Mountain project that is really the driving force for the company at the moment, and with good reason. I mentioned that, of course, the fact it's the largest undeveloped tungsten resource in the USA. Currently, the USA imports most of its tungsten from China and others. From 2026, it will ban all imports of tungsten, and it will focus on securing that supply from elsewhere, and of course internally as well. So in that regard, Pilot Mountain is a hugely pivotal project, I think, both for US tungsten supply and also, of course, for Golden Mountain, for Gold Metal Resources and its shareholders. So within Pilot Mountain, aside from the mineral resource estimate was established in 2018, and that's at 12.53 million tons of tungsten, and that equates to 34,290 tons of contained tungsten. So that's the pure tungsten. Since coming to market, analysis and work has been undertaken at Pilot Mountain. The initially analysis of 3 further prospects at the project. That's Desert Scheelite West, Desert Scheelite East, and also the Porphyry Depths. Highlighted highly prospective new targets for additional tungsten, copper, and zinc. So once, of course, this analysis work is complete, there's a very good chance that MRE that's established could well improve on that. And indeed, the broker First Equity, at the time that announcement was put out, said, this improves on what is already a sizable tungsten deposit. And of course, on the basis of that, given the status of the tungsten and its importance to the USA, it could attract government grants to fast track and develop the project, which of course would mean that would be undiluted financing. So from a shareholder's perspective, a highly attractive package. We then move on. The company identified further targets. So in addition to the first 3 targets, that's Desert Scheelite, Porphyry Depths, and Desert Scheelite East, we now have Porphyry South and Good Hope West. So the project is expanding all the time. The company then signs a letter of intent with Pennsylvania-based Global Tungsten and Powders to initially supply 50,000 metric ton units or MTUs, and this could well rise to 70,000 MTUs, and the agreed strike price will be priced in dollars, but it would be at a discount to the European APT quote. That's my fast markets. And all of us said at that time that it's a significant milestone for the company. Now, this came about as a result of the company entering an agreement with Mrs. Chang Otukmani as strategic US government advisor to Golden Metals. Now, Mrs. Turkmani is also managing director of the Mega Company. The Mega Company initially held 3.49% of Golden Metal Resources, and it increased its stake to 4.41%. So she is now a major shareholder in the company. And what she's been employed to do is to shape Golden Metal's strategy to secure non-dilutive funding to develop and fast-track Pilot Mountain. To date, they've already applied for several relevant government funding programs. And of course, to reiterate the point again, the US currently has no current domestic tungsten production. So this could be a hugely important and game-changing asset for both for the US government and of course for Golden Metal and its shareholders. So that's an awful lot of progress really at the company's key prospect within the first few months. But Golden Metal isn't a one-trick pony. I mentioned Golconda. Again, just after listing, the company announced that rock sampling at the project have returned significant pathfinder anomalies consistent with Carlin-type gold systems. Remember, Carlin, of course, is the invisible microscopic gold particles hosted in pyrite. So anomalies identified. From the sampling there, 11 of 32 samples contain 250 parts per million of gold. 6 of those have returned 500 parts per million gold, and the samples were collected near to historical trenching works that back a few years back yielded 19.7 grams per ton at over a 7.6 meter trench area, and also a larger area, just over 15 meters, came at 7.1 grams per ton, which is that's a pretty healthy reading of gold and highly indicative of the potential under the ground. And indeed, Oliver Friesen at the time said it supports the presence of a significant Carlin-type gold system. And I remember, speaking to Oliver when I interviewed him. Of course, the primary focus for a lot of people is going to be Pilot Mountain, but he said he believes Golconda is going to creep up, quote unquote, on shareholders and the company as a highly potential investment. So we then move to the third project, and this is 100% owned. Just to say, of course, with Golconda, there's an opportunity to earn in up to 100% of the project. So provided the exploration and the sampling ticks all the boxes, then of course the company will fully buy into that asset. So Garfield, 100% owned now. Now this is located east of Hawthorne in Mineral County, Nevada, within the Mineral Gold Belt, and a Gossan there was where some rock sampling was undertaken, came back with some very strong results, up to 6% copper, 3.5 grams per ton gold, and 124 grams per ton of silver. The company has now discovered 2 significant copper zones. Both these have been named the Power Line and the High Grade Copper Zones, and soil sampling there has returned in-soil results of 850 parts per million and 950 parts per million separately copper. And both of these are coincident, in other words, located where the historical rock sampling results had taken place. And again, this was one of the first announcements the company made after coming to market. Oliver Friesen said at the time, they've already identified 2 considerable copper zones at Garfield weeks after listing. So the final project, the 100% owned Stonewall project, and again, this is the feature of this is predominantly a milky white quartz vein, which is some 1.2 kilometers long, and this is. The Stonewall project and this milky white quartz vein are located south of the historical mining town of Goldfield in Nye County, Nevada, again within the Walker Lane Gold Belt. Historical sampling here returned up to 1.17 grams per ton gold and 161 grams per ton silver. So again, we've yet to have further developments on Stonewall since the listing has taken place. But I'm sure that Oliver and the team will be on the ground there, and we'll have some news on that in the not too distant future. But to summarize the investment case at the moment, the company has come to market with a market cap of 7.17 million. And it's clear in terms of near-term game-changing developments that Pilot Mountain, I think, is the primary focus for the company. And the macro picture is really feeding into that investment case, simply because the US will ban any further imports of tungsten from January 2026. Funding and grants are available to develop Pilot Mountain, and these have been identified. The company's already supplied for several relevant grant funding programs, which of course are non-dilutive to shareholders. And this is being headed up by Mrs. Chango Turkmani, who has a pretty impressive resume, which I won't go into detail, but if you read up about on her appointment, on the appointment RNS, you'll find out just how what an impactful person and what a person of experience and qualifications she is. And as I already said, she's managing director of the mega company, which now holds 4.4% of Gold Metal Resources. But I think all the factors are in play, and everything points to a very bright year in prospect for Golden Metal. And with just a 7 million market cap at present, I fully expect any developments, any further significant developments at Pilot Mountain in the coming months will impact the share price, and I'm sure we'll see what I consider to be a valuation gap at the moment, as do First Equity, should I say, the broker First Equity. I expect to see that valuation gap close somewhat.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Alan, for going through GMET with us there today. I think significant news just this morning. I think I also saw Oliver tweet it that the Chinese are banning exports of certain critical metals. So we've got not only the US wanting to home grow its own supply of these metals, they're going to be forced to now, probably because they won't be able to get them from anywhere else. Yeah. So yes, significant changes in the global sort of supply of these metals, with relating to sort of strategic metals, as they call them, for defense and that kind of thing. So it's an interesting time that we live in, timing perhaps with the general cyclical nature of this sector. It's funny how these bits of news come at certain times in cycles. But certainly Golden Metal Resources, from what I can say, as I said at the beginning, only a month or so into IPO, a lot of news been coming out from the company, and some significant news as well with the appointment of that lady in the United States, and also the announcement from Pilot Mountain. So it's good to see Oliver and the team really hitting the ground running. So may it continue. But thank you very much for that today, Alan.
Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.